This is the views of WRB Ministries. Today's topic is Islam, a false religion. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. Islam in general forbids lying. The Quran says, "Truly Allah guides not one who transgresses and lies." Surah 40:28. In the Hadith, Muhammad was also quoted as saying, "Be honest because honesty leads to goodness, and goodness leads to paradise. Beware of falsehood, because it leads to immorality, and immorality leads to hell." However, this has not been the case in Islam. Islam is based on big lies and contradictions. The biggest scam in Islam, especially Shia Islam, is perhaps the notion of taqiyya, an immoral tactic to lie for a good cause and later retract your words, the belief that the end justifies the means. Islam is all about schemes, war, and violence. Prophet Muhammad was an extremely violent man, a man of war. Historically, Jesus set the example for love, as did Moses. The opposite is true of Prophet Muhammad. That is why we see so many suicide bombers in our year. They simply are following what the Prophet of Islam had planned for them. Islam rewards those who become martyrs with 72 virgins. So, sex is what the Arab Muslim murderers die for. It is all about sex. This must tell us a lot about the Prophet's own appetite for sex. He did not spare anyone, even 9-year-old girls were not immune to his sexual wrath. Worship a sex maniac and a child molester? I think not. Muslims are true victims of Islam. However, they fail to realize that Islam is a cult, and the Prophet was a demon, possessed by a huge sexual appetite. Yes, true Muslims firmly believe that those who die in the act of killing the infidels, Christians, Jews, and other non-believers, will not only gain entrance into heaven, but will be greeted by 72 virgin women, most likely, all 9-year-old girls. Being politically correct has backfired and the world seems to be taken hostage by the Islamic fanatics. The more politicians give in and declare Islam is a peaceful religion, the more they give the Muslim fanatics impetus to harass and intimidate people of the host countries where they have been given shelter to live. Galileo said, "I do not think it is necessary to believe that the same God who has given us our senses, reason, and intelligence wished us to abandon their use, giving us by some other means the information that we could gain through them." This statement was true at the time, and it's so true today. God has bestowed upon humans many different senses, including intelligence, so that we use them for a better life. The senses He has given us should lead us to enlightenment and prosperity, not the other way around. Is it possible that the Almighty has given these treasures to only a few people and abandoned the rest of His creatures in bewilderment? Intelligence is discerning between true and false, or the real and illusory. Islam ultimately defines the real nature of intelligence as coming to realize the absolute nature of Allah and the relativity of all else that is other than He. The Quran calls those who have gone astray from religion as those who cannot think, la yaqilun, single quote, those who cannot use their intelligence correctly. It is true that all religions are founded on fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of death. However, throughout the years, many of the world religions were able to find ways to reform themselves, but not Islam. Islam prides itself on having remained unchanged. The Islamic Revolution in Iran presents a clear image of Islam. We do not need to go back to 1,400 years ago and see what the Prophet of Islam did. We can see a total replica in the words of his disciples, Ayatollah Khomeini, and the newly selected president of Iran, Mr. Ahmadinejad. That is how Islam advanced rapidly around the world, with terror and fear. Quran says, "Kill, imprison." Why are you only clinging to the part that talks about mercy? Mercy is against God. Marab means the place of war, the place of fighting. Out of the Marabs, wars should proceed, just as all the wars of Islam used to proceed out of the Marabs. The Prophet has had sword to kill people. Our holy imams were quite military men. All of them were warriors. They used to wield swords, they used to kill people. We need a Khalifa who would chop hands, cut throat, stone people. In the same way that the messenger of God used to chop hands, cut throats, and stone people, in the same way that he massacred the Jews of Bani Qurayza, because they were a bunch of discontented people. If the Prophet used to order to burn a house or exterminate a tribe, that was justice, said Ayatollah Khomeini. Many Islamic scholars vow that Islam is a religion of logic, wisdom, moderation, and peace. They vow that Islam invites people towards insight and knowledge and uplifts the position of women in society. This is far from the truth. Islam cannot stand what is logical, and it does not invite people towards insight, but entraps humans with a deadly poison. Once one becomes Muslim, there is no way out. Islam is about forcing women to wear the hijab, the symbol of backwardness, stupidity, and fanaticism. Women are second-class citizens in the Muslim world. The Prophet Muhammad takes his 9-year-old wife to bed. What kind of man, not to mention a prophet of God, would commit such horrible act of pedophilia? The Quran says women are to be beaten by their husbands, yet Muslim women apparently are fine with this violence, or they could not wait to divorce Islam and run away. Quran says 4 wives are allowed, but Muhammad had at least 20 or even more. They say, in paradise, women are chained in different areas from men's pleasure. Islam definitely is not compatible with logic and democracy. As a matter of fact, Islam is against liberty and freedom. The problem with the Islamic scholars is that they are in denial that the genie is out and now it is way too late to put it back in the bottle.